Hey guys, today's Wednesday, May the 31st of 2023. I want to go over the dollar, DX, energies, and metals. So without any further delay, let's get into it. As you can see, crude oil has been pushing lower. Squeeze play has been activated to the short side, but I'll just, you know, say be cautious here because it's hovering around the 50%. So it could probably bounce, but so far there's weakness to this downside. As you can see it here in the daily squeeze play, looks like it wants to go lower, maybe even test 63. But you can see that on the weekly, it's a PPS sell signal, and we just got a sell signal on the squeeze play. RBOB, same thing. Looks like the pressures to the downside on the weekly hasn't triggered green yet. PPS sell signal on the daily. Broke the mobile bands and the pressures to the downside. Targets is 238 all the way to 225. And for crude, 63. Natural gas is in a squeeze play, but positive compared to RBOB and crude. Hasn't taken out 213, but it already took out the mobile band on the daily, so it's a little weaker here. 229, maybe it could bounce. I don't know, we'll see. But so far is on the short time frame daily, it's a little more weaker. Heating oil, very weak. Kind of following RBOB and crude. You can see daily. So these guys are kind of in sync. Natural gas is on its own, but it won't surprise me if it wants to follow them all too, and then the whole sector's down. But let's see how it plays out. The remaining of the week has a trigger here to go short. And you see the pressures to the downside. Target will be obviously the 214, 215. Let's go to the metals real quick. You can see that we're getting life. What's interesting is that the dollar's not turning down, but I've been saying that the possible bounce for this week, and so far the daily is confirming it. Is it a dead cat bounce? It could possibly be. I know there's some data coming out today, so it'll be interesting to see what the dollar's going to do, but I think it's oversold, and I think it's time for a little bounce, and then if it stalls, maybe then go lower. We'll see. But so far, this is looking good. Once we close above 1980 and go a little higher, that's very, for the short term, we got to wait for our weekly to get positive. But so far the daily's positive. And you can see that we're getting our histograms now turning yellow. Although the silver here is not trending white, hasn't closed the mobile band. It has to catch up to at least 2379 to get into at least positive range. So far, still on the weaker side. But silver will catch up if gold starts moving. You can see that on the weekly, still negative. Copper, pressures to the downside, squeeze play, triggered to go short. So far, that's playing out well. And you can see that on the daily, we kind of had like a little bounce, but failed at the mobile bands and bounced right back in, but didn't really take out 361. So now it's in chop fest on the daily. But on the weekly, it's telling you to continue to stay short. Palladium, weaker, pushing lower, squeeze play, kind of reminds me of natural gas. It tried to at least regain, was 1404, and that was at 1393. If it doesn't bounce, target obviously is going to be 1333. Let's go to palladium real quick. Let's see what we got there. Let's see. Let's open this up a little bit. As you can see, now we're about to be breaking the mobile band. So if it can't close above 1018, 1019 back and duck in there, chances are it's going to push lower. It's probably going to test this 974. The daily's weak. It tried to get a bounce to test this pivot, but fail. So now the pressure is to the downside for platinum. Let's look at the dollar real quick. I want to go over some things. As you can see, we got a nice little bounce. We kissed the 25%, which is 104.61. Now kind of pulled back a little bit, kind of having a tough time with this angle with this Gann fan. So let's see how, it's going to behave. We got, gold that's moving, and the dollar wants to go higher. So, but, I see maybe it's could possibly stall here and push lower. And I can see gold getting a bounce and then silver catching up. And maybe palladium and platinum maybe could turn around, but so far heating copper still wants to like push lower. So keep an eye on the dollar. If it pushes above 104.67, could be a dead cat bounce and then or fake out and then go down, or it could continue chucking along and test that 105. But I think a pullback would be healthy, but we'll see how the dollar's going to behave. All right, I'm in my 5-minute mark. I wanted to go over crude oil. See this level right here, 68. That's a key level. Right now it's below it, but it's a 50%. So it's chucking along around there. There's the 50 on the weekly, on the monthly, which is 65.86. So that could be possible target. To here, you can see MACD is negative. On the weekly is negative. Volume has been negative. This has been negative. Value area low has been taken out, 69. You're kissing the 200 SMA on the weekly. So that's, as of right now, support. But if it can't, 63 is your next target, all the way down there. Value area low is 61 on the monthly, and you already failed it on the weekly. But so far, the path of least resistance is to the downside, unless this 200 SMA holds. On the daily, you're below the cloud. You're below the cloud on the weekly. You can see that the value area low 67.77 has been taken out. And there's a pivot here of a 64.38 all the way to 63. So that could continue to maybe even test these lows. MACD is negative. You can see the volume there. Let's go look at our market profile to see point of control. We lost right here $70, and you can see that now it's pushing lower. Let's open that up. That was it right there. Point of control now will be 56 all the way to 50. It could even test that. I wouldn't be surprised. But so far you see this weakness right there, and that's on the weekly. We go on the daily. Value area low was 68, and it took it out. And there's one coming up right now, right here, which is 66.89. So I wouldn't be surprised if it gets down there and kisses it. And if that can hold, it's going to test 63. So far, pressure's to the downside. Let's look at the big picture. Let's look at this weekly. What is this? This is a 10-year weekly. I wanted to put a retracement from these levels. And you can see this is that 50% right there. Next one will be $53 and then 47 from there. From that $6 all the way to the 130. So it's hovering around, the midpoint. So you got to be very cautious here, because you're going to go short here. You could get trapped and then it could bounce. You want to wait for at least to take out these swing pivots and maybe test it from below. And if it fails, then it's going to really push. But it's at the center of gravity. So it's strong support there. So I'd be cautious there. Let's get this drawing out of here real quick. Remove drawing. Let's go back here. And then if you want to go, even bigger picture levels, you got this low from here. You can see that it's below the 50% there. You could even go, let's see if we could take that out, put this here. You're below the 50%, and from here, from that 147, you're below the 50%. So let's go back over here. Let's look at our midpoint chart. And you can see that on the weekly, you're negative. On the daily, you're negative. On the monthly, you're negative. And on the yearly, you're negative. So from the yearly, you're below 100, so that's a negative. Targets would be 54 using the yearly. On the monthly, Let's open this up a little bit. You're below 70, so that's negative. If that can hold, 63, obviously this low, and then 60. Targets to the downside. On the weekly, you already took the weekly pivot low. So now you're finding support somewhere around here, which is 67.34 of last month's pivot. So if that doesn't hold, the bigger picture will be these 63. And you're on the daily, which is today, you're at 67. And lastly, let's look at our square of 9. So you're hovering around 67 right here. 130 was the high. Targets could be possibly 66 using Gann's technique. There was a high of 83. And if you do the 83 from here, you could do like 63, 64 at an angle. So if it passes 63, you got 65, which is a 135 degree. And if it goes down, you got 63 as support. So there's a couple of support here. 63, 65, 66, lined up to 130 high, and you're already around 67. So that's where you're at. So those will be the targets using the Gann square of 9. I'm going to sign out. Hopefully you like this video, and I'm watching crude because it's interesting. If it's going to bounce, I've been seeing, what's his name? Burke Hashaway, I forgot his name, the old dude. Whatever his name is. He's been buying Occidental. It's interesting. He thinks it's probably going to go higher. So I'm just kind of doing a little research and some homework on crude. Oh, I'll see you again. Have a good day. Have a good trading day.